G'day everyone, how are you? Happy Sunday. Hope you're all going well. 26th of April, 2026, the day after Anzac Day. We'll talk about Anzac Day soon. Hope you're all having a good weekend. Hope you all had a great Anzac Day yesterday. We'll find out what you did yesterday for Anzac Day, whether you went to the dawn service or went and watched the marches, stayed at home, watched some of the documentaries. It doesn't matter how you spend Anzac Day. That's totally up to you guys. Anyway, I hope you're all well. All the normal suspects are in the chat room as per usual. Mick Watson, g'day mate, how are you? Hope you're good. Jennifer G, Nathan Bridgeland, Nathan Schilling, the two Nathans are in. Mara, Debbie, Joshy Hatch, how are you mate? Phil McCavity, Justin Dillon, the diddly donk from Victoria, he's on. Tony Purdy, g'day Tony, how are you mate? Yeah. Weather for the dawn service on the stream was beautiful. Oh, mate, we'll talk about it soon. We dodged a bullet here in Innisfail, mate. I'll talk about it soon, but we missed the real bad weather. It just started bucketing down right towards the end. So yeah, the stream. I'd love to go to the stream one, mate. I think that'd be fantastic. And the one out at Riverway in Townsville is very good as well. Hey, Tony, do they do one? I'm presuming they do. Up at Jazeen Barracks, mate, up where the guns and the flags are, up at Jazeen Barracks there, overlooking the magnetic island. I reckon that would be absolutely stunning for a dawn service, the one up at Jazeen Barracks. If they do one up there, I presume they do. Or is that the Stream one? I don't know. Or do they do a Stream one in a Jazeen Barracks one? But not sure if there's enough room for everyone up at Jazeen. Yeah. That'd be beautiful up there for a dawn service at Jazeen Barracks, overlooking the ocean, magnetic island, and the guns there, and the Coral Sea Memorial. I think it'd be special. Yeah, probably cover both. Okay, mate. Yeah. I'd like to come down to Townsville for a dawn service one day. They reckon Huggo and Russ and them, they all go out to the Riverway one, and they reckon the Riverway one is really, really good as well, which is good to hear. Townsville being a garrison town, everyone. It's a big deal. Well, it's a big deal everywhere, I know, but Townsville takes their Anzac Days very, very serious. It's a big thing in Townsville because of the amount of serving members and also veterans that still live in Townsville. A lot of guys that served in Townsville seem to gravitate back there and retire there and get out of the military and get another job, or actually retire totally in Townsville, which is fantastic. Mully, morning, Buck. Hope you had a cracker Anzac Day. How good was it to see Ben Roberts-Smith getting the positive support he deserves on the Goldie? Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about that as well. Mully, that was good to see, mate. That was good to see. Really good to see. We'll have more of a chat about that. Deniliquin. Geez, I have trouble saying that name. Deniliquin had a very good service and a lot of World War II history. Good stuff, Byron. Byron Goodsell. G'day, mate. Thanks for tuning in this morning. Coming in the chat room and saying g'day. Good stuff. M's saying g'day. Blackers. Good morning, Blackers. How's the refinery going, mate? What's the damage there, mate? Like out of your 100%, how much? I know you've lost your some of your ULP making capabilities. What's the damage after the big fire down there? Yeah, annual rainfall 3.5. Yeah, I know, mate. I remember we had a meter in just a week there once. It's been a wet year this year. This year's been real wet. I think we're above the average this year. It's been a bullshit year. We haven't had a real lot of fine days, everyone, and it's not raining at the moment. We got a fine day today, and then I think it's going to another week of rain. Like you get 1 or 2 fine days, and then it's just get a week of rain. We just cannot. It just will not piss off. Still assessing it all. Okay. Haven't heard much on the news about the refinery down there in Geelong, and it's gone quiet since the fire. We haven't really heard much about it and how much the fire affected. Like, are you down to 60% or whatever? I haven't heard much about it. Yeah, Dean Beck saying the respect shown to Ben Roberts-Smith. We'll talk a bit about that this morning. You know my take on that, everyone. You know my take on Ben Roberts-Smith. It's bloody turned me into a cranky man since that incident when they arrested him 3 weeks ago. I've just been friggin', I don't know, just bordering on exploding. It's pissed me off and I can't let it go. And I won't let it go until he's found not guilty. Yeah, so I know he was killing baddies over there, and I have no doubt, everyone, that the lines were blurred. There was a lot of grey area in that war. I've no doubt about that. I know what it's like working in the grey area. I used to do it all the time when I was a police officer. It's the only way you could deal with grubs. Like you had your rules, what you can and can't do, and where you could, you tried to stay in those left and right of arcs as a police officer and even a correctional officer as well, everyone, dealing with baddies. People that are in there that have got no problem sticking a bloody shiv in the side of your neck or whatever when you go in to search their cell. That's the type of people we were dealing with. And when they start playing up and being violent, sometimes you've got to fight fire with fire, and you've got to fight fire with a bigger fire, if you know what I mean. And I've no doubt that there were some grey areas for the ADF in Afghanistan, but it wasn't a clear-cut bloody black and white war, that one, was it? They didn't know who the enemy was. They didn't know who they were dealing with. I don't know. I wasn't over there, everyone, but I know a lot of blokes who were. Tony Purdy was over there. He'll tell you some stories. If you're ever on a camping trip, sit down. I'm sure Tony will tell you. He's told me a few good ones. They're not really for YouTube, but I'm sure you sit down on the next camping event, and if Tony's there, he'll be happy to tell you what Afghanistan was like. Some bad shit happened over there, everyone. And the SAS boys, they were sent in to deal with the real bad guys, if you know what I mean. They were sent in to deal with the people who were making bombs and blowing people up and hiding in amongst villages with women and children and making bombs. And the SAS boys, they were the ones who used to go in and deal with that. And what pisses me off is all the hierarchy have disappeared now. It's almost like, oh yeah, if you're above the rank of brigadier or above, you're free to go now. You don't have to testify. You don't have to do this and that. And they're just leaving the boys out to dry, and it's bloody not right. Ben was a corporal, everyone, which in the scheme of things is pretty low down the ranks. Ben was a corporal. He had sergeants above him. He had captains above him. He had majors above him, his squadron commanders. He had a commanding officer above him, a lieutenant colonel. Then had brigadiers. Then you get up into the headquarter elements of special forces, and there would have been brigadiers in there and major generals and all this type of shit. Where's all the top cover for these guys? You used to send them in to do the dirty jobs, and then he got a bit out of it. That one didn't go according to plan. Well, you're on your own now, boys. That's how it feels to me. Angus Taylor, yeah, piece of shit. We all know about that, how weak he is, mate. He was just a politician in uniform. And once you get not so much brigadier, brigade commanders, a brigadier, commander of 3 brigade, 1 brigade, 7 brigade, they're a brigadier. I'd still class them as soldiers, absolutely. The Americans call a brigadier a 1-star general. Once you get up into the major general, lieutenant general, general ranks, guys, he's become a politician in uniform. Hey, Jared, how are you, mate? Wow, here we go. Jared said, I marched for the first time without a uniform with the 2RAR Association, and the civilian turnout was fantastic and a very humbling experience. Good stuff, Jared. Jared's ex-2RAR infantry, everyone. So good on you, Jared. Yeah, good. I hope you had a great day, mate. Bloody good stuff. Byron said Angus Taylor has gone quiet. Yeah, you know where he's going over to. Where's he going? Spain or Portugal or something? As a old foreign. What's it called? The big man. He scored a big cushy government job overseas. Everyone, surprise, surprise. What do they call ambassador to Portugal or something? Isn't it? Oh, don't quote me on that one. Yeah, he was a nice little yes man when he was a general, snivelled up the politician's ass, did everything they told him to do. And oh, mate, when you retire on your big fat military pension, your general's pension, you'll get a nice cushy job. We'll make you an ambassador in some cushy bloody country somewhere like Portugal or Spain or some bloody thing. So yeah, he's landed on his feet, hasn't he? Don't tell me there's no corruption at the top. And it's crept down into the military now, everyone. Corruption has crept down into the upper echelon of the military. I'm convinced of that. Sid Archie, g'day. Aussie, how are you, mate? Morning all. Say what I really want to say. I'll get knocked off. Yeah, I know, mate. I know people have got strong. Let's keep it tactful, especially when we start talking about this welcome to country a bit later. Keep it tactful, everyone. I've put some posts up in that. And there are just some blatant, outright racist comments in there. So if you're one of those people, don't bother replying, everyone. Keep it tactful. I won't tolerate full-on racist bullshit on my channel. Okay? It's not on. And it's not from you guys. It's from people I've never heard of before. Since I've started doing my YouTube shorts, everyone, I'm starting to get a lot of people that are from outside the camping community, and I should have expected this. I'm on the YouTube shorts, having my say there and they're just my opinions, everyone. And I don't expect everyone to agree with my opinion. They're my opinions. Everyone's got an opinion. They're like assholes, eh? So, but I'm getting a lot of people starting to come in and have their say, and they're all controversial topics, aren't they? They really are. And let's face it, we're living in controversial times at the moment, but some of the comments you just go, come on. That is one bloke there. I actually blocked him from the channel yesterday, and I won't tell you what he was saying, but it was some pretty unsavory names about Aboriginal people. It's not on, everyone. I've got good mates that are Indigenous. I'm friggin' Roz is Indigenous, but I work with a lot of Aboriginal boys in the prison, Indigenous lads that are Aboriginal. And I'll tell you what, some of the best lads you'll ever meet. I've worked with a lot of Indigenous boys and still good mates with them now, and I won't tolerate anyone coming in and just saying full-on racist shit about Aboriginal people. It's not on. I don't care what your stance in that. And there's some terminologies that we probably used back in the 70s that we thought that was what we called them back in the 70s. Friggin' naivety. And people are still saying those words today, and we know that they're totally inappropriate, everyone. So I won't tolerate it on this channel. If you want to have your say, but keep it tactful. Keep it tactful. Some people are just coming on, and when you sit back, when you're with an Indigenous partner, and Roz picks it up too, everyone. Roz sees it, and she goes, have a look at this shit. Have a look at the racist people following your channel, Rogers. And I agree with her. It's like some of it is just cringy. It really is. Anyway, yeah, Todd Higginson, SAS, especially over in Afghanistan, mate. The SAS boys used to go in. They used to go hunting, everyone. Most of us go hunting for rabbits and wascally wabbits and hunting pigs and that. The SAS boys in Afghanistan, they went hunting baddies. They used to hunt humans. And I know that doesn't sound good, everyone, but that's what they did. The first few years over there was full reconnaissance and what they were really originally trained for and that, but it turned into a go in and start hunting the baddies, start hunting the bad guys who are blowing coalition vehicles up with massive IEDs and all this type of stuff. And the SAS and commandos were sent in to hunt those people. They used to go hunting, and you don't get much more bloody serious than that when you're hunting humans. And I know that doesn't sound good, but that's what they were doing, everyone. And they were good at it. And when they found them, it didn't end well for the baddies. Let's just say that. Bloody. What a mate, I won't mention his name. I might have said this in the last one. He was infantry battalion, everyone, 1 RAR. So our standard infantry battalions like Jared and all these guys when they were in Afghanistan, everyone, they had rules of engagement and, they were limited to what they could do, when they could shoot and all this type of stuff. I'm sure they were on like what we call the red card over there. And, a suicide bomber set himself off one day, blew a heap of women and children up because there was an Australian patrol going through. And when the boys got back to base, my mate was saying they're all in the where they were staying, and they were all picking what they thought was shrapnel in the medical centre, picking shrapnel out of their necks and arms and all this type of stuff. And it was bone fragments from the suicide bomber. The boys were picking bone fragments from the suicide bomber and from the women and children he'd just blown up. So, like that's the type of warfare it was over there. It was an ugly war. Anyway, let's get into, I got off topic then. I wasn't going to talk about that straight away. Let's get into the footy score. So we'll do the weather. No, we won't do that. Yes, we will. It's sunny and 23 here at the moment, so it's cooling down. And it's actually, when the sun's out, it's actually nice weather. Sun come out yesterday afternoon. I was out in the backyard and I was like, this is really good. Out in the backyard, have a cook-up weather now. It's nice. Bloody, the bad heat's gone now, so it's camping. When the rain goes, it'll be camping season. 23 here at the moment. Toronto, 9 degrees up in Toronto where Slacken is. I sent Slacken a couple of videos last night. I went to have a piss in the toilet. Look there. Snake on the windowsill, everyone. One of those bloody night tigers or brown tree snakes. They're mildly venomous. Cranky buggers when you catch them. And he's about 1.5 meters long. And I sent a video of it. I said, Slacken just went to have a piss. Look what's watching me. And he goes, I don't know how you guys live down there in Australia. He said, no way. So anyway, I sent him another video. I caught it with a snake catcher and took it down to the river and let it go, everyone. So, yeah, I knew there was a snake in the shed because there was a snake poo on the floor the other day. There was another snake in here. Anyway, he was on the windowsill looking in, thinking, I'll come in and have a cruise around in your house, Buck, and see if I can eat the cat or something. Wasn't big enough to eat. Yeah, I wouldn't like the cat or we knew something was going on. Crew was going mad. And I heard Roz going, Crew, shut up. And she was meowing different to the way she normally meows. And I think she knew what was out there, eh? They're bloody smart animals. Sure enough, bloody 1.5 metre at least, minimum 1.5. Bustleton, 8 degrees. So it's cool over in Busso. Fine and 8 degrees in the morning. Starting to cool. I remember when I was in Perth, everyone, it was like you go to the dawn service over at the SAS regiment there outside regimental headquarters. We used to go to a dawn service there, and there was a rock outside regimental headquarters with all the SAS guys from the regiment that had been killed over the years. And there was a lot on that rock, let me tell you. And it was always, Anzac morning was always, it's getting cool on Anzac morning. There's a guy on there, and he was a SIG too, from memory. Doherty, I think his name, 1965 in Borneo. He got gouged to death by an elephant in Borneo. He was a SAS guy, but he was in the signal squadron. Doherty, I think we had a building there called the Doherty building when I was there, and he was killed by an elephant in Borneo. Can you believe that shit? You go to war and get gouged to death by a bloody elephant that was stalking them. Yeah, that's a true story, that one. Google that one. Doherty, his name was. He's gorged to death by an elephant in Borneo back in 1965, I think it was, which is the year I was born. Denver, Colorado, 5:19 on Saturday afternoon. 12 degrees over there, Celsius. Mexico, overcast and 18. Steve Wilkes, if you're watching. John up in Portland, Oregon. 20 degrees and sunny in Portland. Starting to warm up there. Phil Weber over the ditch in Auckland. It's already 11:19 Sunday morning there, 14 and clear. Nice clear day for Auckland. They just got some bad weather, eh? That cyclone that come down past Fiji, I think that belted into the top of New Zealand, everyone. They got a lot of rain out of that. Melbourne. We'll be talking about Melbourne soon. Oh, hadn't that city got some issues? Melbourne. Sunny and 19 today down in Melbourne, top of 27. Good stuff for Melbourne. Sydney, sunny and 17. Launceston, Lukey Reed's in the house, everyone, down in Lonnie. 9:20, sunny and 11 degrees in Tassie. Sounds cold, everyone, but I'll tell you what, I remember a day where Lukey was showing us around Devonport, and it was 16 degrees and sunny, and it felt like it was like 28 or something. Something about Tasmania, when the sun comes out, it actually feels hotter than it is down in Tassie when the sun's out. Adelaide, sunny and 16. We're having some nice weather. Yeah, you want to. We've had a really bad summer, haven't we? All around Australia, it's been bullshit. Darwin, it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning. It's already 25 degrees in Darwin and sunny. She's a hot place, Darwin. I've been there a few times and, with the army, and she's a hot old place. I'd hate to be posted there all the time. Perth, 13 and sunny, same as Busselton. Brisbane, showers and 18. And back to where I am, 23 and sunny at the moment. So, yeah, some nice weather around the place at the moment. Nothing out of the ordinary. Hey, let's get into the rugby league footy scores, everyone. How good are the Tigers going? Good to see the Tigers doing well. West Tigers, 33. Canberra, 14. Canberra got the minor premiership last year. They were like one of the big teams. They're struggling this year. There's a couple of teams struggling this year that were up the top. How's this game? This was weird. Cowboys, 46. Cronulla, the Sharkies, 34. What's that? 70, 80 points. 80 points scored in 80 minutes. What do you reckon about that? I might do a poll later about if you're a rugby league supporter about this 6 to go. This 6 to go and just 6 again to speed the game up. Well, it's blowing the scores out too. I reckon they need to have a look at this 6 again rule. Maybe it's time to slow it down, start issuing a few penalties, and because teams are just giving six away all the time now. They're cheating. They're not getting back their five. It's better to give 6 tackles away again than concede a try. So I don't know. I'm not convinced on this six again rule. It's bloody. All you hear is boop, boop, the buzzer going again. 6 again. It's just almost getting back in the 60s where there was unlimited tackles. It's getting back to that. And that's why the scores are blowing out. Broncos. Broncos were down on Troops on Friday night, and they still did the doggies, 32-12. Canterbury Bankstown's another team that are having trouble at the moment, guys. They were bloody right up there last year, weren't they, into the semi-finals? Doggies are struggling. Why, I don't know, but they are not doing as well as they should be. But the Broncos, they're down on Troops and still winning games, everyone. So at the moment, the Cowboys and Broncos are, I think, 6th and 7th on the ladder. So good to see the two Queensland teams up there. Roosters 62, Dragons 16. That game, I stopped watching it last night. Not worth watching. That was just like a game of touch football. Dragons, they should be. I was saying to me brother, the NRL needs to have like the English Premier League. If you finish in the top 2 or 4, the bottom teams in the Premier League, you get punted, you get relegated down to the next division, and the people who finish first and second in the bottom division, they go up to the Premier League. I reckon the Rugby League needs to do something similar. Whereas if you're a club that just keeps performing badly, maybe you need to be relegated down to the New South Wales Cup or something. Dragons are one of those teams. Warriors, this was a good game. Warriors 20, the Dolphins 18. Dolphins went close to winning that game, but not quite. Roz's Dolphins. And last night, how good were the Rabbits? The Rabbits are looking good again this year. They were devastated by injuries last year, and they didn't do real well. They're back to their best this year under Wayne Bennett. The Bunnies 48, Melbourne Storm 6. What has happened to the Storm? I know they've got a few injuries, everyone. Craig Bellamy must be just about ready to pop a bloody a blood vessel, I reckon. And today, the Newcastle Knights, all the Knights supporters in the house, Knights Penrith, Knights are at home. So Knights, you're at home today. There's no reason why you can't beat Penrith if you turn up. And this will be a good one. Paulie Martin's Manly versus Marky Lavell's Parramatta Eels, the two big teams from the 80s, Parramatta and Manly. So that'll be a good game too. That'll be the main game on Channel 9 this afternoon. So there's the footy scores. With the Aussie rules, I don't know. Didn't Brisbane... Who's that? He looks like an Indigenous lad. Was it the Melbourne Demons? And he took they showed it on the news, and it's going in for Mark of the Year so far. Justin will be able to tell me. I think he's an Indigenous player for the Demons, and he was wearing, unlike Aussie rules with the tight shorts, he was wearing actually baggy shorts, look like rugby league shorts, and he's got 4 goals or something, and he took a mark, and it was an absolute screamer. It was like one of those ones you used to see in the 70s and the early 80s where they're up on blokes' shoulders, and it was an absolute screamer. I don't know what his name is, but it was a bloody beauty. Justin, if he's in there, he'll let us know, I've no doubt. Ed's in as well. G'day, Ed, saying g'day to Wixie. It was Marlon Pickett. I think that's him. Okay, is he? Yeah, young Indigenous fella. And my goodness, he got up off the ground and it got up on this bloke. It was like a bloody up there Kazali mark, one of those ones. You don't see a lot of them anymore in modern day Aussie reels. Every now and then you might, but I tell you what, he pulled off an absolute screamer. That'll probably get Mark of the Year. It was a beauty. It really was. Rightio. I got a couple of funny fishing stories, and it doesn't involve fish, everyone. You know, well, one of them does, but not catching fish. So I've got a couple of funny fishing stories to end the day, and they're fair income stories. I'm not making them up. They're actually fair income. Oh, dear. Speaking of fishing, I've been fishing for a while. Roz and I went down. The Flying Fish Point Cafe opened up again, everyone, and it's out at the beach part of Innisfail, if you can call it a beach. It's all eroded now, but still a nice place to go. Anyway, the fish and chip shop's opened back up. They're only doing rolls and coffees and that at the moment. They're renovating the kitchen and going to do fish and chips. And again, you sit on the balcony and you look out to the ocean. It's a nice little place. So Roz and I went out there the other day and I had a coffee and thinking Roz was going to get fish and chips, but we ended up Roz got a chicken and salad roll and I just got a couple of sushis or something. I forget where I was going with that. Oh, yeah, and across from there, I said to Roz, let's start coming out in the afternoons and back the BT50 up to the beach and throw a couple of rods out and sit on the beach for a couple of hours in the afternoon and have a fish. So we used to enjoy doing that. We stopped doing it for some reason. So got to get back into the fishing. It's not so much about catching fish. I just like sitting there and looking out to the ocean. It's a great way to relax, isn't it? Get away from the computer for a while. Rightio. Yeah, they are. How many good players have been Indigenous in the Aussie rule? Well, and the rugby league as well. But just they are, and some of the boys come down from the Northern Territory, and that it just got. I saw it in Arakoon, everyone. I'll give you a little story. When I was a copper up there, I was out there one day talking to all the young boys. They're about how old would they have been? Anywhere from 11 to 13 or something. The young Indigenous boys in Arakoon. And one of them, they all say, hey, and they're all talking to you. One of them runs up. He said, watch this. And he ran up to a tree, and he ran up the tree and did a backflip, landed on his feet. And I went, holy shit. And I went, oh, wow, that's unbelievable. And then because I gave him some praise for doing that, there must have been nearly 20 of them. They all lined up in a line, and every one of them ran up to the tree, ran up the tree about 2 or 3 steps, did a backflip, landed. Every one of them did it. And I thought, when I was 11, there was no way I could run up, hit a tree, and do a backflip and land on my feet. It was gymnastic shit. And they could all do it. They are just naturally talented people. Some of the skills they have. And when I was in Hopevale, I used to finish work, say if I was we used to do day shift, there's only 2 of us, and you'd always work during the day, and then at night you were just on call in case there was a domestic or whatever. There's only 2 of us there in Hopevale, an Indigenous community north of Cooktown. At 4 o'clock, I used to go down with a footy to the footy oval, and everyone, all the kids, teenagers, adults turn up. We'd have a big game of touch football on the field, and just some of the, mind you, this is the same community Matty Bowen, the Cowboys fullback, ex-Cowboys fullback, came from, and those kids and young teenagers were good. They just had natural talent when it come to football, and I'm sure the same with Western Australia and Northern Territory and South Australia, the Indigenous kids there with their natural Aussie rules skills, everyone. Yeah. Oh, wow. Top 5 player, AFL Pickett is on $1 million a year. Holy dooly, Big T. Well, there you go. And he proved on the weekend why he's on $1 million. He's a bloody good little player. I don't follow the Aussie rules, but I'll tell you what, that mark he took was impressive. It really was. Unbelievable. Jennifer, here we go. Jennifer saying, when I was a kid in Nhulunbuy, the Indigenous mob were excellent break dancers. Yeah, anything. Well, they were just good at everything. Jennifer, all that type of stuff. Sports, break dancing. Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, the kids, and as I said, those young kids, I had that on video somewhere. It's probably on a memory stick or probably on a floppy drive or something. I took some video of it you didn't have iPhones back then. Somehow I got a video of it, of the kids doing the backflips. I wish I could find that footage and put it up on Facebook. It was impressive, eh? When I was 11, there's no way I could have done a backflip. I would have broken my neck. But they could all do it. Just incredible, eh? Incredible skills. Anyway, what did you get up for Anzac Day, everyone? What I want to know, and I know there's a lot of controversy. We saw it. Let's get on to the controversial side of things. What's this poll? Should welcome the country be included on Anzac Day? 90% no, 10% yes. Okay. Yeah, so we saw what happened in Melbourne and Sydney, and I don't know if you've seen my YouTube short, everyone. And I did we watched the dawn service. Where were they? Bondi. That was a really good service. And Mark Barretts, who used to be on Channel 7, he's now an Army Reserve public relations officer. So he's a major in the Army Reserve now. But he did a really, really good job of that dawn service at Bondi. And they had the Bondi Surf Lifesaving Club out there in the rowboats with their oars in the air. And Barrett said, turn around just as the sun was coming up and imagine this is Gallipoli and the boys coming ashore on rowboats. It was really, really well done. I don't know if they had a welcome the country at the Bondi one. They had one in Melbourne and they had one in Sydney, everyone, and it got booed. You've probably seen the news. And listen, whether you think welcome the country should be in there or not, that's your opinion. But the booing, guys, like, you can't boo on Anzac Day, whether you agree with what's up there or not. Even if you don't agree with the welcome the country, there's no way I would have sat there at a dawn service and even thought about booing. Like, that's just bloody not on. Being ex-military too, or any of the Tony and Jared will know where I'm coming from, and you just wouldn't dare do that on Anzac Day, booing. But it's happened 2 years in a row now. It's happened 2 years in a row. And whether you agree with the welcome the country or not, just sit there and just bloody, there's other way. And we're going to talk about it soon. Is booing an option? I think if anyone agrees with booing on Anzac Day, I disagree with you, everyone. Why did they boo? I don't think they were booing the person themselves. They were booing the fact that it was welcome the country. I don't think welcome the country should be on Anzac Day, everyone. I don't think it. No. My answer is no. I don't think it should be there. And we never used to have it on Anzac Day. It's only just started in recent times. You used to do it at the football games and all that, and then it crept into dawn services and all this type of stuff. Felt sorry for Mr. Minicon, the one who did it in Sydney. He got up there, the one with the Sydney guy with his hat, with his badges, and he was poor bugger was wearing his medals on the wrong side as well. And someone should have, hey, Mr. Minicon, mate, and he's wearing his granddad's medals. And this is where the bloody media got it wrong. They're going, oh, they were disrespecting and booing an Indigenous veteran. Well, he's not an Indigenous veteran. They thought he was an Indigenous veteran because he had medals on. He had his medals on the wrong side. Two of them, the two middle medals, and maybe the one on the left, everyone, World War I medals. They're his grandfather's. His grandfather served in World War I. Fantastic. He should have been wearing them on the right-hand side. Someone should have said, hey, Mr. Minicon, I don't know what his first name is, put your medals go on the other side. If they're not yours, they go on the other side. It was just a mistake. He just wasn't aware of the medal protocol there. But I felt sorry for him because some of his speech, from what I could gather, was about his grandfather serving in World War I and that. And he was getting booed. I thought that was poor form. That was poor form. But then we'll come on to the Melbourne one where old Uncle Colin comes on, who's at every friggin' welcome to country that Victoria has. That bloke's head's popping up. Everyone's had a gutful of him. He's a grifter or whatever they call it. Everyone's sick of him. And he shouldn't be anywhere near a friggin' dawn service, that bloke. He should be nowhere near a dawn service, that Uncle Colin. Everyone's had a gutful of him. And I Googled it. How much does he get paid for a welcome to country? And it can be anywhere from $3,500 upwards. I just Googled that. So I'm just getting that off Google, everyone. That Uncle Colin, he's in it for the money, let me tell you. So my thing, there's a place for welcome to country, everyone. When you get international athletes coming over or there's a big gathering, say Victoria's holding a big sporting event or some sort of event, and there's people coming from all parts of the country. And then you can have some say, you're not welcoming people to Australia, you're welcoming them to that part of your country. That's what the Indigenous people are doing. Welcome to such and such country. And there's a time and a place for it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not anti welcome to country, even though people say it was invented by Ernie Dingo back in the late 70s or whatever. I don't know if that's true or not, but there is a place for it. I think if you do it correctly, it's a good touch, but it's just been done to death and it doesn't belong on Anzac Day. That is my thing. It needs to go. Now, how do we do it? How do we, if you don't agree with it, what do? We don't friggin' boo on Anzac Day. That's number one. That's poor form. I don't give a shit if you agree with it or not. You do not boo on Anzac Day. G'day, John. How are you over in Oregon? Mate, we had Anzac Day yesterday, which is a special day where we remember our fallen soldiers, mate. It's been one of the biggest days of the year. And there was a bit of controversy in Sydney and Melbourne. The Indigenous people got up and did a welcome to country, and people started booing them and that, and it just spoilt the whole dawn service. It put a sour taste on it. So how do we do it? And I've already done it, everyone. I don't agree with it being in there. So I've sent, not that I'm a member of the RSL there, New South Wales RSL, John, is Return Services League for return servicemen. We have clubs here that veterans and return servicemen can join. Anyone can go in there. It's not just for veterans, but they're called RSLs, Return Services League. And I sent a formal thing through their website to the New South Wales RSL and the Victorian RSL. And I said, there is no place for, that's how I expressed mine. I said, doesn't belong there. It doesn't belong on Anzac morning, this welcome to country. It happened last year, everyone. There's people, he got booed again, this Uncle Colin bloke. He got booed again last year, and someone made a good comment. You're not reading the room, everyone. The RSLs, you are not reading the room. The majority of people do not want it. You're not reading the room. So don't put it in there. Don't put it in there, and then you won't have people booing on Anzac Day. And people obviously feel very, very strongly about it. It wasn't just one or two people yesterday, everyone. There was a lot of them. Yeah, one person got arrested in Sydney, but there was more than one person yelling out. There must have been 20 or 30 booing. So there's a lot of people that don't agree with it. And I've seen a lot of veterans being asked and they don't agree with it either. There might be a couple out there that don't mind it. But if they do put it in there, don't boo at Anzac morning. It's just poor taste, everyone. It's poor taste and it puts a damper on the whole service. I know the Anzacs wouldn't want to see that if they were still with us. So what do you think, everyone? Was it just I only saw it from Sydney and Melbourne. I didn't hear anything about Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide. The Darwin one, someone sent me a message and said that they were going to, the Darwin dawn service, everyone. Now we're going to have a welcome the country from Uncle so-and-so. And I went, where are you, Uncle? Uncle, where are you? He wasn't there. He must have slept in at the Darwin. So Darwin was going to have a welcome the country, but Uncle slept in apparently. He didn't make it. He went too early for me. I can't make it. So Darwin didn't have one only because old mate didn't make it. Did Brisbane have one? Is anyone in Brisbane? Did anyone go, did you have a welcome the country at your dawn service? Someone said before that, I think it was Ray Muller, was it? Someone said that they had a welcome the country at their dawn service and there was no booing, and nor should there be. So when did welcome the country start? I don't know, Tracy. I don't know. I heard Ernie Dingo and some others were the ones who kind of got welcome the country going. I don't know. I heard it had something to do with Ernie Dingo. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But they never used to. Welcome the country was never part of Anzac Day. While I was, even when I was in the army, I never heard of it. Bet he still got paid. Oh, who knows, mate? Yeah, and that's right, mate. They don't do it for free. I know that. Here's another story. When I did the Tinaroo camp years ago, 6-7 years ago now, the Drifter Fans camping event up at Lake Tinaroo. Welcome the country was still. It wasn't overdone back then. It was still a fairly new sort of thing. And I thought, I got people coming up from Victoria, New South Wales. Someone came over from Western Australia for it, all parts. And I thought it'd be good to have an Indigenous touch for when they get to Tinaroo. So I contacted a local Indigenous group up on the Atherton Tablelands, and they were all for it. There was a bloke, he was going to play, I won't mention names, he's a very, very well-known didgeridoo player. He was going to come with a didgeridoo and do some Indigenous Indigenous cooking in the fire. And I had a couple of good chats with him about, I wanted to put a bit of an Indigenous thing, because North Queensland's got a lot of Indigenous people. I wanted to put a bit of an Indigenous theme with the Mr. Buckaroony, the Drifter camping event. I thought it would have been a good touch. And watching this bloke, how the Indigenous people, the Aboriginal people, cook on coals and all, I just thought people would find that really interesting. He was going to play the didgeridoo for us, and it sounded like it was going to be really good. And as soon as I mentioned she was a charity event and that I had no money to pay them, I didn't hear from them again. They was like crickets. They went, oh, we're not getting paid. We're not coming. So I thought, stick it in your ass. I'll do my own welcome. And it was like, crack a beer. Welcome, everyone. And that was my welcome to North Queensland. But I did have the idea of having an Indigenous theme in there, and tried to do it. And when they found out there was no money involved, they went, well, like crickets. I didn't hear from them again. So there you go. There's my story. That's how it is. And that Uncle Colin, that's just I know. I think it's just it's been overdone. I just think there's a time and a place for welcome the country. It's got its place, especially when you got a lot of people not from that area coming, and you like a big sporting event, and you're welcome. Like the Olympics, everyone. There'll be a big Indigenous theme at the Brisbane Olympics. Welcome the country, Indigenous people. Welcome to Australia, and have a big Indigenous theme. Obviously, we've got to have that at the Olympics, and you'll be proud that when they have an Indigenous, showing people from all around the world what Australia, our Indigenous people. No one's got a problem with that. But when it just gets done at every event, every football game, And old Uncle Colin, the same bloke, turns up with his kangaroo bloody skin around his neck, cleaning up $3.5, $4 grand an event. He's just a professional bloody welcome the country bloke. And everyone's had a gutful of seeing that bloke, let me tell you. So the fact that the booing, yeah, I felt sorry for the bloke in Sydney, but I think he was pretty genuine and he had some stories about his grandfather. I felt sorry for him, but old Uncle Colin, everyone's sick of you, mate. You see you at every football game. Justin will know. Justin's probably seen him down there doing all the welcome the countries. Right or left, if you don't agree with it and your place had a welcome the country and you don't agree with it, you've got to go to the RSL. They're the people who organise the dawn services, everyone. Write a letter or go in and see them and say, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with welcome the country. I don't want it there. If you're going to have it next year, I'm not turning up. I'm not going to renew my membership. I won't spend another cent in the RSL. That's the only way they're going to get the message, everyone. All right? So that's about all I want to say about that. I don't agree with it on Anzac Day, everyone. I don't. And 90% of the people in the poll didn't either. I could do a poll here. Was booing... I'm pretty sure that'd be close to 100%. I don't think anyone agrees with booing on Anzac morning at the dawn service. No. Whether you agree with welcome the country or not, do not boo at a bloody dawn service. It's not on. But as I said, someone said Australians at the moment are at the limit, and they're starting to push back. They're sick of having shit rammed down their throats, and they're starting to push back now. And the only way that people, you can see the other side of the fence in a way, the only way that people will start taking notice is if you do something a little bit outrageous, like booing on a dawn service, then they might start paying attention. But I still don't agree with it, everyone. We need to write letters. We'll go in and see your local RSL and say, if you're going to welcome the country next year, I want to cancel my membership, thanks, and I won't be at the next dawn service. I'll go to a dawn service that doesn't have it. From all reports, most of the country towns and that didn't have it. We didn't have it here. And I asked a lot of mates, Russdown and Townsville, did they ever welcome the country? No, not out at Riverway, mate. No, welcome the country. And I don't think the Indigenous people mind that Anzac Day, there's no welcome the country. I don't think there'd be too many Indigenous people kicking up a stink if we didn't do welcome the country on Anzac Day. But why are we doing it then? Yeah. Anyway, was it ever part of anything? Well, I've seen Indigenous people say that it's not. It was just made up bullshit. And I've heard that from Indigenous people as well, everyone. Yeah, but it's become too overdone. Said to Pete McMurtry, I don't know if Pete's in the chat room at the moment. You reckon the haka's overdone now? He said, absolutely it is. It's just the haka. They do a haka for everything now. Have a cup of tea, we'll do a haka. It's just getting done to death. And it's the novelty of it's worn off big time. Yeah. Turn and face the other way. I don't even agree with that, mate, on Anzac Day. Aussie, I don't even agree with doing that on Anzac Day, mate. That's disrespectful. You sit there, shut your mouth, and go and have your say after the dawn. So go into the RSL, write a letter to them, go in and pull your membership. There's other ways to do it than doing Anzac Day is not for protesting of any sort. That's my belief anyway. Pete's in the thing at Balgall Beach. There was two Indigenous kids from the local school who read a poem. It was very like having that Mr. Minicon in Sydney. His grandfather fought in World War I, everyone. And for those who aren't aware, Indigenous people fought in an Australian uniform. Lots of them. Let's not forget that. A lot of people think it was just white fellas over there. A lot of Indigenous people did. I had a squadron sergeant major in Signals Corps. Bernie Johnson, his name was. He was full-blood Aboriginal. I don't know where he was from up the Gulf area somewhere. Very, very good man, proud Indigenous man, and a Vietnam veteran. Buddy Lee, Delta Company, 6RR, Battle of Long Tan, everyone. Indigenous. He was in the thick of it in Vietnam. There were Indigenous men that fought in World War I and World War II. Let's not forget that. If they want to put an Indigenous theme into Anzac Day, by all means, get a young kid up and say, tell a story of their great-great-grandfather in World War One and what unit he was in or whatever. That Mr. Minicon, get up and tell about how his grandfather fought in World War One. No one's got a problem with that. It's just the welcome to country side of things. And a lot of people are saying, why are veterans being welcomed to a country they fought for? There's arguments on both sides of the fence. But anyway, who's that? Yeah, I'll read that later, Justin. So anyway, Byron Goodsell, look at Norforce. Yeah, I know. And our 3 regional force surveillance units, everyone, RFSUs, they're Army Reserve units, and they're supposed to do reconnaissance of Northern Australia. Your 51st Battalion, Far North Queensland Regiment, based out of Cairns, and they do all the Torres Strait and all that area, the Gulf of Carpentaria. You got Norforce in Darwin, and you've got the Pilbara Regiment over in bloody hell. I'll think of the name of it in a minute. I've been there. Pilbara Regiment up in the not Geraldton. I'll think of the name. It's a town up in northwestern Australia in the Pilbara anyway. Not Denham. There's 3 of them. Start getting them going. They're full of Indigenous people, everyone. 51 FNQR, full of Torres Strait Islanders. From the islands, they come down. And the reason they use them is they know the area like the back of their hand. The Norforce boys, the Aboriginal lads that work in Norforce, they know that part of the country better than anyone. And the Army tap into their knowledge. They tap into their knowledge. And I'll tell you what, exactly right. The Torres Strait Islanders, they know all about the Torres Strait Islands and where people could hide, or you've got to tap in and use their knowledge. So they need to be made. They need to be made full-time units, those 3. They need to be made full-time units. And all the lads in there need to be put on the payroll full-time, and they work full-time. I think the 3 RFSU units need to become full-time. Sent a photo of Uncle Colin from yesterday heading to the MCG. It'll be a funny one, no doubt. Probably in his private jet, is it, Justin? Dear. Jennifer saying her neighbour's an Indigenous Vietnam veteran. Yeah, well, there you go. There was lots of them. So let's not forget that, everyone. How many highly paid sports people sing the national anthem? Yeah, I see a lot of white blokes don't sing it too, mate. There's a lot of white sportsmen don't bloody sing it as well. I know you're talking about Latrell Mitchell and all them. They don't sing it. There's obviously a bit of a private protest there, but we won't go into that. Yeah, exactly right, Byron. Exactly right. Slacken. We have the Canadian Rangers, about 3,500 strong, Inuit. They're a presence and recon unit throughout the north. There you go. That's why, because they know the country like the back of their hand, Mark. Exactly right. And that's what we do with our Indigenous lads up north, mate, in our regional force surveillance units. We tap into their knowledge. And those 3 units, Jared, if you're on, or Tony, what do you reckon? Should the defence budget, the amount of bloody Indonesian fishermen coming down into our waters and that at the moment, I think it's time that we put some money into those 3 units and made them full-time regular units. They're infantry units. We need to make them, the 3 RFSUs, make them full strength, full-time battalions. And all those guys there, you can still have some Army Reserve components in there as well, but we need to build them up and make them full-time. Ramondo. Same with the Pilbara Regiment. Yeah, exactly right. I still can't think of the name of that town. Help me out, someone. There's 2. They always get banged by cyclones up in the Pilbara. Oh, my God. I've been there. I've had a mental midget. Yeah. Anyway. Well, the government's coming up. Yeah, I know. mate. We know that. They're cracking down on that. But while we can have our say, I think you just got to be careful what you say now, don't you? Otherwise, they are cracking down on the laws of what you can say and what you can't say. And so you just got to be a bit smart about what you say on social media and all that. So there is a line, but everyone, when you cross it, when you cross the line and just say just straight out racial stuff against a certain group of people, you're opening yourself up there. You know, when that neo-Nazi guy got up and had a rant about Jews at, where was that, at one of the Australia Day rallies. He's been arrested now, apparently. I mean, that's right on going back down what happened to him in World War II. And we all know that's bullshit. We never want to see that happen again. You can't come out and say that shit where you want to see the total destruction of a race of people. It's just, there should be laws against that. I'm all for it. But you should be able to express yourself too and have your own opinion without crossing that line. The defence budget, what was I going to say about that? Oh, yeah, they just come out about we've increased the defence budget. You know what they've done now? They are including veterans payments. So, you know, my 20-year, the pension I get for doing 20 years in the army and that, they include that now instead of under the welfare umbrella, they've included that in the defence budget. So all the payments they do to veteran affairs and for people who did 20 years in the military and all that, they're now including all those payments as part of the defence budget. So it makes the defence budget look better. Can you believe that shit? Unbelievable. Now, here's another one that pissed me off the other day. The day before Anzac Day, guess where it was, everyone? Guess what state this happened in? Someone graffitied a war memorial the day before Anzac Day. Guess what state it happened in? I'll give you 3 milliseconds to have a guess. That's right, it was Victoria again. Justin Dillon, what is happening down there? Someone graffitied one of the war memorials with red paint. Killers, or I don't know what they wrote on there, but anyway, they had to get in with the gurneys and scrub it and clean it up for Anzac Day. Someone came out the other day, he was a politician, and said, we need to bring in maximum punishment of 10 years imprisonment for graffiti in a war memorial. No, we don't. No, we don't. We don't bring in maximum 10 years for graffiti in war memorials because no one will ever get maximum punishment. No one ever gets maximum punishment in this weak-gutted country we live in. Unless it's murder, then it's mandatory life imprisonment for murder. That's taken out of the judge's hands, everyone. They have to give life imprisonment if someone goes down for murder. But when it comes down to manslaughter and all these other bloody putrid crimes, no one gets the max. I sat for years in court watching prisoners get sentenced, and the judges always look for the low one. Defence would get up and have their say, and prosecutions would get up and have their say, and you'd like to think they meet in the middle somewhere, but they always went down to the lower punishment. It was sickening to see. So we don't need maximum punishments of 10 years for graffiti in a war memorial because no one will get that. What we need is if you get found guilty of graffitiing a war memorial in this country, you are going away for a minimum of 2 years with no parole. Mandatory minimum sentencing. That is the answer for these arseholes, everyone. Mandatory minimum sentencing. Take it out of the judge's bloody hands. If you get caught graffitiing a war memorial or a war cemetery or anything like that in this country, you're going away for 2 years in the big house. And the judge is going to go, oh, you've never offended before, but my hands are tied. I have to give you 2 years. 2 years, no parole. Have a think about it while you're sitting in the bloody big house for 2 years. That's what we need, everyone. We need mandatory minimum sentencing for a lot of different bloody things. And graffiti in war memorials, the other one should be burning the Australian national flag. That's where we've gone in this country now. We should be stamping down on that. Graffiti in war memorials isn't freedom of speech, everyone. It's putrid and it needs to be stamped out. And if anyone did it in front of me and I saw someone bloody doing that, it wouldn't end well for them. You can't sit back and tolerate that shit. Burning the Australian national flag. That's freedom of speech, apparently. You can burn it. It's freedom of speech, according to the Labor Party, because they all voted to say that it was okay to burn the Australian national flag. Because Philip Thompson, Member of Parliament, OAM, he stood up in Parliament and tried to introduce a bill to make it illegal and a crime to burn the Australian national flag. And it got voted down by the Labor Party. So there you go. There you go. What do you do? I know the Katter Party, it got voted down federally. The Katter Party's on the bandwagon again now, everyone. Good on the Katter Party. That's why I vote for them. They're trying to make it an offence in Queensland now. So we failed federally. The Katter Party is now pushing for it to become an offence to burn the Australian national flag in Queensland. Queensland, once again, going out. Liberal Chris Foley, who's doing a pretty good job, I reckon. He's trying to bring, or one would hope, we'll see what happens. Katter Party's going to introduce the bill, and it'll be interesting to see how the vote goes here in Queensland. I'll tell you what, if the Liberal Party vote against it in Queensland, Tim Nichols, watch out. You're going to wear the wrath of Mr. Buckaroony, mate, if that one gets voted down. So good on the Katter Party, everyone. They're trying to introduce a bill here in Queensland and make it an offence in Queensland. So it'll be okay to do it in Victoria and all the other states, and hopefully in Queensland. Come into Brisbane and try and burn the Australian national flag, you'll be arrested and you'll be charged. I don't think they're going to bring in mandatory prison time for that. I can't see this country doing that. Would I like to see that? Absolutely. I'd love to see people go into the big house for burning the Australian national flag. That won't come in, but at least make it an offence to burn the Australian national flag. At the moment, it's not an offence to burn it. It's putrid. John, what about the USA, mate? Is it an offence to burn the national flag of the USA, the Stars and Stripes in America? I'd be interested to see that. Slacken. Canada, mate. Is it an offence to burn the maple leaf flag, the Canadian flag in Canada? Bloody should be. It should be. I've seen a lot of YouTube stuff where people have burning the Stars and Stripes, and I've seen veterans come over and put them on the knuckle. Good on them. Veterans won't stand for that. They fought for that flag. So whether it's the Australian flag, Canadian flag, US flag, it's bloody, you fight overseas for that flag. So veterans won't tolerate that shit. Just got back on, was busy planning a trip with a buddy. John, I was just saying, is it an offence to burn the Stars and Stripes in the USA or, say, Oregon? Or do they class it as freedom of speech? It shouldn't be freedom of speech. It's putrid, but it's never okay, Mick Watson. No, I don't think it is either, mate. Mike's on in Colorado, not in the USA. So it's not an offence in the USA, Mike, to burn the Stars and Stripes, mate. John, yeah, exactly right, John. It's illegal in my presence, absolutely. Yeah. Blackers wants to know, where's your next trip, John and Dana, to Australia? Bring the casita down under, mate. Bloody do the lap of Oz. $3. I know. Yours diesel or your Forerunner? Is that a diesel or a petrol, mate? You come down here, you'd run out of money in about 2 weeks with the price of fuel down here at the moment. Speaking of which, I want to say something about fuel, everyone. People are starting to go, oh, diesel's cheap. It's only $2.68 a litre. Hang on a minute, everyone. You got short memories. Only 2 months ago, it was $1.68 a litre or $1.72 a litre. $2.68 a litre for diesel is not cheap. It's $1 a litre more than we were paying a couple of months ago. It's cheaper compared to $3.20 something. Yes, but it's still not cheap. And then we got short memories. Remember what you're paying for fuel before this shit started, everyone. Remember what you paid. I paid $1.68 a litre for diesel. The day one of the war, $1.68 was $1.72, and I've got a 4-cent discount with my RACQ card. $1.68 a litre. Now it's gone down to $2.68. It's still not cheap, everyone. It's still $1 more a litre than where it should be. Don't forget that. And that's what they do. They play psychological mind games with you. It spears up and everyone has a big panic attack. It's $3.20 something a litre. And then when it comes down to $2.60, oh, it's cheap now. No, it's not. It's still $1 more than what we should be paying per litre, not a gallon, per litre. It's bullshit. $2.50 a litre. Yeah, it's bullshit. It should be $1.50 a litre, $1.60, $1.70 a litre. I can cop $1.70, even $1.80 a litre for diesel. But I'm not copping $2.50, everyone. We think, oh, $2.50, that's cheap. Yeah, compared to $3.20, it's cheap. But compared to 8 weeks ago, when it was $1.68 or $1.72 a litre, it is still a rip-off. So don't forget what you're paying for diesel or ULP before this war started. What's happening with it, John? Has Trumpy sorted it out yet, or what's going on? It's gone quiet. There's a big ceasefire going on. Let's hope they get to the table, sort it out, and the strait opens again and the world gets back to normal. You know? Dear oh dear. And then let's hope bloody Ukraine, Russia. That's nowhere near ending at the moment, is it? It's just, that's going to go longer than World War II, that war, the way it's going. It's just not coming to an end, the Russia-Ukraine. Be nice to see a planet Earth with no wars going on for a change, wouldn't it? I don't think it's ever going to happen, but Ray Newman saying $2.46 a litre yesterday in Sydney. No, I don't think so either, Ray. $2 will become the norm, mate. Oh, $2, that's cheap. Yeah, bullshit it is. Should be back down to $1.60, $1.70 a litre, where you can kind of afford. Even that was expensive, but, you know, it was within most people's budgets. $2.50 a litre is not, that's still bullshit. How are you supposed to do a trip around Australia when diesel's $2.50 a litre, everyone, and you're towing a caravan? Come on. I know a lot of people that have put their trips off because of the price of diesel, just can't afford to do it. What else we got here? Anyone see my photo of the koalas in the hole from the green thing? Someone, oh, that's not a photo from the wind turbines. And I've had people going, they're not clear. Some idiot yesterday, they're not clearing the tops of hills for wind turbines. Where are you getting your information? So I sent him a photo of, like, some of these greenies have got their heads stuck so far up their ass, they can't see what's going on. They cannot see. Anyone see that Channel 7 show? And they're just bulldozing hectares and acres of bloody trees, not only for wind turbines, for housing development too. I don't care if there's koalas in the trees. These things are supposed to be protected, everyone. And we're bulldozing their trees, and when they fall down out of a bloody 40-metre tree, they get out and club them on the head, throw them in a hole. Anyone see that photo? It was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting. I don't care if that was to do with wind turbines or clearing land for housing. You don't go just bulldozing through koala bloody habitat, and then when they fall out of their trees and get injured, club them on the head. Come on. They're endangered as they are. You know, I'm no big greenie, everyone, but how green are these wind turbines when they're clearing hundreds of hectares of trees with wildlife and that in there? It's bullshit. Yeah, that's Channel 7. People go, oh, Liam Bartlett, it was employed by Shell and all that type of stuff, and then people are kicking up a stink about cobalt and all that. I don't give a shit what's in the batteries. All I know is that those wind turbines, everyone, here's a couple of stories for you. The brake system on the lifts or the elevators, as the Yanks call them, they've got asbestos in the brake pads, and they're importing it in. So that's been kept quiet. Not supposed to import anything into this country that contains asbestos. Well, these bloody wind turbines, the lift system in there, the brake pads, found to be containing asbestos. We import all this stuff from China. China are just cashing in on us at the moment with this green energy. The blades can't be recycled. I've seen blades go past my house here, and they are massive, everyone. They must be 90 metres long. They are huge. When they go past on a truck, you go, holy shit. You don't realise how big they are. Can't be recycled. So what do when they wear out? Throw them in a hole, landfill. They can't be recycled. If they could recycle them and make them into something else, you wouldn't mind so much. No, dig a dirty big hole with a bulldozer and bury them and cover them up. That's how we do it. The amount of trees they're bulldozing and clearing the tops of, and then the Chinese who own a copper mine down in Tasmania now want to clear a couple of 100 acres of pristine rainforest to make tailings dams. How can that be signed off under our green energy thing? This Chris Bowen, I tell you, I dislike that man. I really do. He's a danger to this country, that bloke. He really is. Anyway, hey, the other thing, that Kyle, I don't follow these two, that Kyle and Jackie O that were on Kiss FM radio station down in, where was that? Sydney or Mel? Probably Sydney. So they were on $100 million contract, those two. Can you believe that shit? Those two morons, how can anyone possibly think that Kyle Sandilands is worth $100 million to be on a radio station? Well, these radio stations are just, I don't know. $100 million contract, and they're big falling out now, and they're all suing each other and all this type of stuff. Come on. If you're a radio station and you had like a DJ, you'd probably pay them $100,000 a year or whatever if they bring the crowd in. $100 million? Come on. All these CEOs are on millions of dollars a year. That's where this country's failing, everyone. All these big, fat, cat-rich CEOs. But did anyone listen to those two idiots, Kyle Sandilands? Just seeing him on Australian Idol is enough for me. You want to punch the bloke. You want to throat punch him. He's just a moron. And he was on a $100 million contract. Mick Watson saying they're bulldozing 100-year-old trees down on the farmland where they have taken over the solar farms in Victoria. Yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff on social media at the moment where the electricity companies are turning up with their big bloody ID and I'm an authorised officer under the such and the Electricity Act and wanting to get onto your land so we can work out where we're going to build big electricity towers, and the farmers are fighting back. Let's go, farmers. Fight back on this shit. I'm not totally against green energy, everyone. Well, there's a place for solar. There's a place for wind turbines, but not at the expense of the environment, not at the expense of our friggin' koalas and our wildlife and clearing hundreds of acres and just clearing the tops of beautiful bloody hilltops here with rainforest trees, which they do. They're doing that, everyone. And then going on and taking over farmland, our farmland, to put solar panel farms in and wind turbines. There's a place for it, but there's got to be a compromise. You can't just go and clear pristine rainforest to put a bloody wind turbine farm in. It's bullshit. That's what they're doing, everyone. That is what they are doing. I don't know. There's got to be a bit of, I don't mind the introduction of green energy. I love it. I love having solar panels on the roof of my house. And if I want to charge the batteries up in the shed, put the solar panels out. There's a place for it. I don't mind green energy. I'm not anti-green energy. But how can it be classified as green energy when you're bulldozing hundreds of acres of rainforest and trees and clubbing koalas on the head? It's pissed me off, and it doesn't sit well with me, everyone. Anyone who thinks that's acceptable, got to have a hard look at themselves. And I've had a few of them in the chat room on my YouTube shorts, and I've had some morons come in there and think it's okay to clear all these trees and club koalas on the head in the name of green energy. What happened to the 80s where they wanted to dam the Franklin River, and the greenies were bloody tying themselves to trees, chaining themselves to trees and all that. Where are all those people now? Bloody green energy, my ass. Watch Carl Stefanovic podcast interview with... No, I didn't watch that. I don't mind Carl, but that Kyle Sandilands is a moron. I want to throw punch him. I refuse to watch anything with him in it. You only have to have a look at the haircut on the bloke to know he's a fuckwit. He is an absolute fuckwit, everyone. I can't cop the bloke. A lot of dickheads on radio now. A lot of dickheads on YouTube too, getting on and having their say. I'm one of them. Anyway, what do you reckon, everyone? What else have I got to say now? Not much. I didn't have much this morning. I'll tell a few funny fishing stories soon to finish the thing off. Phil's camp again. Phil, how are you? John Laws was good, yeah. John Laws was good. And you know who else is still, he was supposed to have retired, and he still can't help himself. He's got to come on and have his say. And I agree, he's a bloody egotistical bloody idiot too. What's his name? Friggin', I had a bit of a run-in with him over the helicopter crash. Someone said John Laws and it thing. What's his name? Used to commentate the football, was a one-eyed Broncos. I'll think of his name in a minute. He's still on there. Now, if you call someone an idiot, that's not racist. That's against the person itself. I don't agree with him. Ray Hadley, that's him, Ray. Yeah, Ray says a lot of good stuff. I agree with a lot of stuff Ray says, but Ray's one of these guys where it's just everything he says, if you disagree with him, he's one of those. But he was supposed to retire, but he's still coming on and having his say and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I agree with a lot of stuff Ray says. I had a run-in with him once. We had a behind-the-scenes shooting match on Messenger or something. He said something I didn't agree with. It was over the helicopter crash or something. Anyway, we had a clash there. We sent a few emails to each other in disagreement. He probably thought, who's this bloody idiot up in North Queensland? Who are you, you insignificant person? But anyway, yeah, Ray Hadley, he comes on and has a rant every now and then. And, yeah, I don't mind Ray. Tell you who else is Greg Carey. Does anyone remember Greg Carey from 4BC in Brisbane on the radio? He's now got got a beautiful block of land, view from a mountain, Greg Carey view from a mountain, and he's very, very pro Ben Roberts-Smith and all that type of stuff. And I've been watching a lot of his stuff. Not too bad at all. So, yeah, Ray Hadley, he doesn't like Albo, eh? He doesn't like the Labor Party. He comes out and he has a rant about him. But, Ray, yeah. So much, he was going to retire, but I think there's just too much going on and he's still got to come on and have his say. And I know what he means. I know how he feels. You've got to get shit off your chest, don't you? Saw lots of I Stand with Ben Roberts-Smith shirts yesterday. Yeah, I've ordered mine from Big Chocky. I Stand with Ben Roberts-Smith, and Fit In or Fuck Off is the other one. To all the immigrants. Either fit in with our way of life and bloody just become a good person in this country, or go back to where you came from. I've got no problem with immigration, guys. This country's bloody full of immigrants, and that's what's made it a great country. But yeah, it needs to be reined in at the moment. We need to get back on track. They need to put the brakes on for a while. We all know that. They're not, but. And you know what I heard? Passports have been issued to the ISIS brides. I heard that yesterday on the news, that passports have now been issued to the ISIS brides over that are stuck in Syria. So they went over there to support their old man, chopping heads off people, Christians and all that. And now we're going to let them back into this country, apparently. Can you believe that shit? And I heard yesterday on the news that they have issued passports so they can get back in the country. Keep your ear to the ground on that one. More to follow. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, bloody immigration. You know, I'll give you another story, and I've said this before. A couple of years ago, Roz and I were over in Perth and we went up to Kings Park in Perth the afternoon before we flew back to Queensland. Went there, and a lot of Sudanese families in Kings Park, and they were all beautifully dressed, picnic rugs, out enjoying the beautiful day at Kings Park overlooking Perth. Anyone been to Kings Park, you know what I'm talking about. It's just magnificent up there. The views over Perth City and the Swan River, just beautiful. It's a beautiful place. And there were Sudanese families everywhere having picnics and all. And I thought, that's what immigration's all about. Come over here and enjoy our way of life, suck the guts out of our free lifestyle and all that type of stuff. I've got no problem with it. But when they start running around in certain cities, the big one down south starting with M, they run around with machetes, hacking people up, then that becomes a problem, doesn't it? So, yeah, fit in or go back to the shithole of where you once came. You know, if you want to come in here, bloody just assimilate into our society, be a good person, by all means, still practice your culture and all that type of stuff. Multiculturalism is a good thing, I think, especially when you go to the markets and there's all these different food vans, and you know, you can get Thai food and bloody Indonesian food. It's wonderful. It's what makes this country good. But when you come here, just be a good person and don't expect Australians to change our way of life to fit in with your way of life. You work around us. It's not the other way around. So, and a lot of them do that. Yeah, that Tony Burke, he's got some explaining to do too, hasn't he? Anyway, we won't go down the political rabbit hole, everyone. We won't go down there. There was something else I wanted to talk about too. I'll just address a few things in the chat room before I tell you a few funny fishing stories and then piss off everyone. 105 on good stuff. Saw some vets wearing the fit-in or fuck-off shirts yesterday. Yeah, well, there you go. People are starting to kick up a stink now, and I think it's good that Big Chocky and Sam Bamford and that starting to speak out. They're starting to speak out. And mainstream media aren't having it all their own way now, everyone. They're not having it all their own way. I'll tell you what's pissing me off is Channel 9, young girl, Channel 9 yesterday talking to Ben Roberts-Smith. Channel 9's the channel that Nick Mackenzie's part of, and they're the ones going after Ben Roberts-Smith and brought all this to a head, and, you know, probably a big part of why he's been charged with war crimes charges now. And this young Channel 9 girl talking to Ben Roberts-Smith, he's been very polite to her and all that type of stuff. And then she does the wind-up thing, and then, yes, and the convicted war criminal had to throw that in. They just had to throw it in. Alleged war criminal. Alleged war criminal. They got to throw that in, the war criminal part of it. There's no need for it. Everyone knows he's been charged with alleged war crime offences, but they've got to keep it going. They've got to keep people thinking that he's guilty of war crimes over in Afghanistan. It's bloody unbelievable. How classy was Ben yesterday at the dawn service at Currumbin? How classy was that bloke? And wasn't it good to see how many people were, from what I saw, how many people were coming up, shaking his hand, saying thank you. People bringing their kids up to him to get a photo of their kids with Ben Roberts-Smith. That's what the community thinks of that man. And here's the bloody prosecutions trying to go, oh, he's a threat to society and all this. He's an alleged murderer. We can't have people like him running around. I'll tell you what, if your friggin' kids were in trouble or your women and children were in trouble, he'd be the first man to be in line to protect them, let me tell you. And it was good yesterday to see how many people came up and shook his hand. I didn't see anyone come up and say, you're an alleged war criminal. He probably would have, no one was going to say that. He's a big fella. But everyone came up, and then they were interviewing him, and he said, this isn't about me. This is bigger than me. This is about Anzac Day. And he's just a classy guy, everyone. Obviously, when he had a uniform on and he was in a war zone, don't get in his way if you're a baddie. He's one of those, and that's the type of big alpha males we need in our military, everyone. They're the types of people we need protecting our country, not wimpy little friggin' blokes who think that they're entitled to wear a dress running around in a uniform, in a female dress, over fighting the Taliban. It's the blokes like Ben Roberts-Smith you want over there. Anyway, yeah, he is. He's 100% class. He really is. And I hope, part of me hopes that these friggin' charges get knocked on the head before it even gets to trial, everyone. We all know they're going up. As I said, did he work in the grey areas over there? Not only him, but a lot of the others. I have no doubt they did. But you friggin' lose. You will lose and probably lose your life if you're playing the black and white part, if you know what I mean. I've been in situations, everyone, life-threatening situations in a blue shirt where I've had to play in the grey area. And I'll make no apologies for it. I've played in the grey area quite a few times, and I know John will back me up on this. It's not always black and white. Things can turn to shit real quick when people are armed up with butcher's knives in their hands or a bloody star picket or whatever. You got to think outside the box and go into the grey area. Otherwise, you mightn't come out of it alive. You might not come out of it alive. And over in Afghanistan, they were playing for keeps over there. You're playing the black and white, there's a higher chance you won't come home and see your family. And our commandos and special forces, SAS boys, our special forces, they have to play in the grey, everyone. All right? It's the way it is. Some people didn't like it. Maybe some people in that unit weren't comfortable with being in the grey. Maybe they weren't cut out for it. I don't know. I wasn't over there. But I'm 100% behind our boys that were over in Afghanistan. Ben Roberts-Smith. I'd love to see that bloke get found not guilty. I'd love to see him charges dropped, no case to answer. I'd love to see him run for politics, and I'd love to see him get right up the top. I'd love to see him be our Prime Minister. And as someone said the other day, Sam Bamford, he gets on there when he's talking about clearing his name and all that. He talks better than any of our politicians do. He's just a class act, the way he speaks to the media and that. Very, very good. Gidgey's on, is he? John said, finally someone's on that'll take the piss out of Buck. Go, Gidgey. Don't encourage him, John. Goodness me. Don't worry. If Gidgey gets a chance to take the piss out of me, he will, mate. That's what little brothers do. That's what brothers do. We take the piss out of each other. So, yeah. Hey, speaking of Gidgey, going to have him on probably a Wednesday night. We'll see what happens on a Wednesday night. And we're going to try and find a home for these cats that he's got at his work. Everyone, these beautiful little cats, we're going to try and see if we can find them a home. So they need to find a home, poor little things. Hey, John, I did a live feed the other night with me and Gidgey's first cousin. He's our eldest cousin, mate, Johnny Smith. He's 82 years old now, Vietnam veteran. And he was on the gun line during the Battle of Long Tan, where we lost 18 Australian soldiers, 29 wounded. And Delta Company, 6th Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment, were awarded the US Presidential Citation after that battle, mate. Unbelievable. 100 blokes up against about 3,000. And thanks to the artillery boys, we got through that one. We lost 18. They lost a lot. The enemy lost a lot in that one. They were up against it. And our cousin Johnny was on echo gun on the gun line during the Battle of Long Tan. There was a New Zealand battery, 2 Australian batteries, and there was a battery of American 155s as well during the Battle of Long Tan, mate. Johnny talks about the American artillery. Get on and have a listen to that if you get a chance, mate. Unbelievable. And for anyone who enjoyed that live feed, Johnny's going to come on and we're going to do it on Vietnam Veterans Day, everyone, which also happens to be the anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan, the 18th of August, 1966. So the 18th of August this year, Johnny's going to come on again and we're going to go into more in-depth on the actual battle itself. There's some other stuff Johnny said, there's so much more I wanted to say the other night about the actual battle. He said, do you reckon we can do a part 2? I said, absolutely, mate. So we're going to hear firsthand from a Vietnam veteran who was on the artillery guns during the Battle of Long Tan. And as I said, very proud of the fact that he's our first cousin. Johnny's mum and our dad were brother-sister. So Johnny's a lot older than me and Ken. Served in Vietnam, and something we're really proud of. Yeah. Anyway, Slacken and John having a chat there. So John, yeah. So John's. Oh, you did see part of that, mate. It was pretty special. If anyone hasn't seen it, everyone, if you haven't seen that live feed, our cousin was in the artillery at Nui Dat. The day before, about 3,000 Viet Cong and NVA were forming up to try and take the Australian position at Nui Dat. The night before, there was a big incoming mortar barrage. One of the artillery guys, his name was Philip Norris. He got some shrapnel in his head and was casevaced back out to Australia. All the boys thought that Philip Norris was dead. For like 30 years, they thought Phil was dead. 30 years later or whatever, this bloke called Paddy Durnford's at the War Memorial, looking at all the Vietnam veterans who lost their life. There was 464. There was about 450, 460 Australian soldiers didn't come back from Vietnam, everyone. That's dead. A lot more wounded. And Paddy Durnford's going, where is Phil Norris's name? He passed away. And he wasn't on the War Memorial, everyone, because he was still alive. And the boys that served with him thought he was dead. Guess who Phil Norris had a relationship with a lady? They had a kid together, and guess who that kid was? Mary Howell. Brad Howell's wife, Mary. Phil Norris was her father, everyone. Anyway, we had Mary come on the other night because Johnny was talking about Phil Norris, how he was wounded the night before the actual Battle of Long Tan, and they thought he was dead. And I brought Mary into the chat room. Anyway, there was a few tears flowing. It was a pretty emotional time, especially Mary. We all know Mary and Brad. Mary's just a wonderful person. We all know her from the camping community. And it turns out Mary was Phil Norris's daughter. And I brought her into the chat room. Johnny's crying. I'm crying. Mary's bloody trying to hold back the tears. It was a pretty emotional time. Anyway, Johnny now and Mary are friends on Facebook because I know that meant a lot to John to think that one of his colleagues he thought was dead for all those years, and now he's talking to that guy's daughter. It was a special moment. It really was. It was probably one of the most special live feeds I've ever done, everyone. If you haven't seen that, get on and check it out. See you, Nathan. See you, mate. I won't be on much longer, everyone. My family's full of heroes. Yeah, but every Aussie family is. If you go back through your family tree, everyone will have an uncle or a granddad or someone who's fought in uniform for this country, and we should all be proud of them. That's what Anzac Day is about. We go there and we pay our respects on Anzac Day to all the soldiers, not only the ones who served, but the ones who paid the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives. Let's face it, we had 103,000. 103,000. No, sorry, I'm thinking of the Americans. 61,000 in World War I did not come home. 61,000 Australian soldiers dead. And you know what, John? I don't know if you know this. The Americans didn't come into World War I, everyone, until October 1917. Don't quote me on that. It was late 1917. The war finished. So they were only in the war for like a year, the Yanks in World War I. They lost over 100,000 soldiers. So for people who say, oh, the Yanks didn't come in till the end, they came in. Yeah, that's true. But when they did come in, they were in the thick of it, everyone, and lost over 100,000 soldiers in World War I, the Americans. And a lot of people tend to forget that. We lost 61,000, the Aussies. A lot smaller army, obviously. And World War II, we lost 34,000 or something. in World War II. And we all trace our ancestors back. You'll probably find that we've all had people. Russ, you're the same, mate. Your dad fought in Vietnam in infantry. It's not just my family, every family. Russ's dad's a Vietnam veteran, everyone. Fought over there. So we've all got heroes in our families. Just, if you haven't taken the time, take the time. Go back through your family tree, everyone. I'll bet you got a family member there that's fought in either World War II, Vietnam, World War One. My grandfather fought in World War One in the Light Horse, something I'm very, very proud of. And didn't realise he was in the 5th Light Horse Regiment. Most of the boys came home at the end of 1918. The 5th Light Horse, they didn't get home till 1919 because after World War One finished, there was a massive uprising in Egypt, which is where they were fighting over in the Sinai Peninsula and modern-day Israel and Palestine. The 5th Light Horse were kept over there to quell an uprising in Egypt. And Granddad didn't get home till well into 1919 from World War One. So, and then went on to World War Two, become an RSM during World War Two. Didn't actually go up and fight. He was a bit old to go up and fight, but he trained the troops, I think, at Canungra and Wollongara. He trained the troops to go up to New Guinea. So he did his bit in World War II as well. Would we even have 61,000 in the Defence Force? Yeah, lucky. They reckon the whole of the Australian Defence Force now, Paulie, wouldn't fill the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground. It's in piss poor shape, isn't it? It really is. John saying, unknown US Marine to a French soldier in World War One. Retreat, hell, we just got here. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, World War One. What a horrific bloody war that would have been. Fighting in those trenches, everyone. My God, just a tough generation of men. Even World War Two, just tough men. Looking at the Aussies and that fought up on the Kokoda Trail. The Americans were up there in New Guinea with us, everyone. Not on Kokoda. The American Army were up in the northern part of New Guinea. And at first, when they first got there, John, I've read some books on it. The Americans didn't go real well in New Guinea, mate. They weren't accustomed to jungle warfare and all that, mate. And they struggled at the start, but then they sent the Marines in, and the Marines started going through the Pacific. And we all know what a job the US Marines did in the Pacific during World War II. And as I said, the Aussies were fighting beside the Marines over in Borneo and places like that. So it was pretty brutal warfare. I've seen some footage of an Aussie infantry guy at Kalimantan on the island of Borneo going in with a flamethrower and hooking into a Japanese bunker on Kalimantan on the island of Borneo. Brutal warfare, everyone. Absolutely brutal warfare. So, it's I'm distinctly, here we go, big fella saying, I am distantly related to Lord Kitchener on mum's side of the family. She was a POM. Lord Kitchener, wow. Gee whiz, that's going back, mate, isn't it? We're sitting ducks here. Yeah, mate, let's hope nothing ever happens. That's our best thing. We sit down here and we solve everything with dialogue and diplomacy. That's how we solve things in Australia. Dialogue and diplomacy. Just asked our Prime Minister. Anyway, Jennifer G said, my grandfather is my hero. Harry Henry Hubbard, QSM. Good stuff, Jennifer. Yeah, as I said, when you go back through your family tree, everyone, we've all got someone in there that we can be immensely proud of. Someone who's fought in a military uniform, whether it be Army, Navy, or Air Force. Righto, I'm going to go soon, everyone. Couple of funny fishing stories. Anyway, I just hope I do them justice. One of them, when I was posted to Papua New Guinea in 2002, there was a Navy guy up there, and he was our chief writer. Now, in the Navy, they call him a writer. In the Army, they were clerical staff. Matt Regan, his name is. I hope you see this. He's living in Thailand now. Matt, this is a bloody classic, this one. Matt was in the Navy. We become good mates up in New Guinea. We're all part of the Australian High Commission in Papua New Guinea. and we were part of the defence thing. Anyway, the Army guys and some of the Navy guys, Papua New Guinea had 4 patrol boats, so they had Navy guys that used to help the PNG Defence Force maintain their patrol boats and all that type of stuff. Matt used to support us out of the High Commission. He used to do all our administration, book our airfares, and look after our leave, our pay, all that type of stuff. So Matt used to work in the High Commission, become good mates with him and his 3 boys. They were up there at the time, who I still keep in touch with to this day. Anyway, fast forward to mid-2000s, I'm a copper in Innisfail. Out of the Army, I'm a copper, and I'm posted at Innisfail in far north Queensland, along with another good mate of mine, Liam Henry, who is the guy who owns Mr. Bean Cold Brew, everyone, Liam. So we're coppers here in Innisfail. Matt's out of the Navy and living in Cairns, and Matt had a civilian job in Cairns. So we used to ring each other up and catch up every now and then. Matt goes, "Hey, Buck, come up for a fishing trip to Cairns. I've got a boat. I bought myself a boat." He said, "Come up and have a fish." So I said, "Do you mind if I bring a mate?" He goes, yeah, bring a mate with you. It's a nice big boat. It was like a 5 or 6 metre fishing boat, half cabin. So I said to Liam, "Come on, let's go up. I've got a ex-Navy mate of mine. He did 20 years in the Navy. He's just bought a fishing boat. We'll go up and have a fish up in Cairns." So Liam goes, yeah, righto. So we go up to Cairns. We get there, get to Matt's house early morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning or something. And we hear coming from the backyard, tink, 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 tink. So we go around to the back gate. We walk in, "Matt, you here?" He goes, "Yeah, come in, Buck." Here he is with a hammer and cold chisel doing something to the prop on the boat. I said, "What are you doing, mate?" He goes, "Oh, just putting a new split ring or something, buddy, split pinning the prop." I said, "Oh, right." Oh, he said, yeah. He said, "I've just bought this boat. I'm doing a bit of maintenance to it and whatever." So anyway, we hooked the boat up to Matt's 80 series Land Cruiser, and we go down. We get down to the bloody, what's it called? The boat ramp, nice and early in the morning. And I think I'm a bit sketchy. I think Matt stayed in the boat. He said, "Why don't you just reverse it in?" And he said, "I'll be in the boat. As soon as I get it down in the water, Buck, you unhook the boat." He said, "I'll start the engine and I'll drive it off I'm having trouble with my words this morning. Drive it off the boat thing." So anyway, we get the boat into the water. Matt's in there, and we hear, bloody motor won't start. The engine won't start on the boat. So next thing you know, Matt's under the cabin, and we hear bang, clang, bloody swearing and carrying on. Anyway, and he must have been there for 10 or 15 minutes trying to get the engine started. So I don't know how his engine worked, but on my boat, everyone, you could not start the engine unless it was in neutral. It wouldn't allow, like my Evinrude engine, if it was in forward or reverse, you couldn't start it. I don't know what sort of engine Matt had on his boat, but apparently it could start when it was in gear. So somehow Matt's had it it's got it in forward, and he's got her on full herbs, and he's under there, and he's touching wires together and all this type of shit. And next thing, she kicked, it started, and as soon as it started, I didn't know engines could do this, but it must have been an old model that could start when it was in forward, and he had her on full herbs. The boat, and he had the engine in the water, she shot up over the boat trailer, almost launched itself over the front of the boat trailer, and almost landed on top of his 80 series. Anyway, Matt's managed to grab the thing and turn it off. And it was like me and Liam. I remember me and Liam going, "Oh," grabbing our heads. It was a close thing. Matt's nearly launched his boat onto the top of his 80 series. So anyway, after our heart settled there and Matt's changed his underpants, he's reversed her out, and we've got out on the water. So she's good. Everything's going all right. We're out there. We're in the Barron River, out near the mouth of the Barron. I think it was the Barron River, having a fish. And we're out there for hours. And did not even get a bite. Another Rogers fishing thing. Did not even get a bite. Anyway, it's getting late in the afternoon, no fish, and we're anchored up, and we're out near the mouth of the Barron River. We're anchored up, and the tide's hurtling out. So Matt goes, "Oh, what do you reckon we call it a day?" He said, "Yeah, righto, mate. We'll call it a day. It's been an interesting day. No fish. You've nearly bloody launched your boat onto the top of your Land Cruiser. We'll call it a day, and we'll go back to the Red Beret Hotel for a beer. Go to the boat ramp, not far from the boat ramp. I think it was the Red Beret Hotel in Cairns." So Matt brings the anchor up. As soon as the anchor come up, the boat's just hurtling backwards because the tide was just, we're out near the mouth, and we were hurtling backwards at a great rate of knots. And I remember saying to Matt, "Mate, start your engine up and get going. We're frigging hurtling backwards here pretty quickly." I said, "Get your engine started." So the engine starts. He starts the engine, and then I hear it go, and he revs it. And I said, "Mate, put it in forward gear. We're going backwards." He goes, and then you see him stuffing around these. He said, "It is in forward." I said, "It can't be, mate." And he's revving its guts out. He's wringing its neck, and we're going backwards, everyone. And I said, "Are you sure you're in forward?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm in forward, and I'm giving it some." And I said, "We'll give it more." So he's wringing its neck, the engine, and we're going nowhere except backwards. I said, "Bring your engine up, bring it up." And like the electric tilt. Anyway, the engine, I'm looking over the end of the boat. The engine comes out of the water, and all there is a shaft. There's no propeller on there. So he's banging and clanging with the hammer and coal chisel at about 6 o'clock that morning. I don't know what he did, but the split pin came out and he lost his propeller. And I remember we're still going back. By this time, Liam's eyes are like dinner plates. I said, "Mate, you got no propeller. Your propeller's fallen off." And he goes, so at this time, he's starting to panic as well because we're frigging going backwards. And he goes, "Quick, grab the oars and start rowing." I don't know. We didn't think at the time, just throw the anchor out. He goes, "Grab the oars and start rowing." So he says, "They're under there." So I grabbed one oar, Liam grabbed another, and he goes, "Start rowing." And so we're not going backwards. We're going towards a bloody rock or something. So me and Liam starting to row, and I reckon we got 2 rows in, and snap, snap, his oars snapped. They'd been out in the sun for that long. The plastic part of the oar, the paddle part, was so brittle. As soon as we started putting any pressure on it, they just snapped. So me and Liam have pulled an aluminium pole out with no paddle on the end, and just said to Matt Regan, I said, "Your paddles are snapped." And then Liam finally went, "Throw the anchor out, throw the anchor out." So Matt's thrown the anchor out, and we've grabbed, thank God. So we finally grabbed, and we sat there for an hour just going, "Regan, your boat is a disgrace." Like me and Liam were giving it to him. 20 years in the Navy, and your boat is an absolute disgrace. And Matt's trying to come up with all the excuses in the world of how the propeller could have fallen off. He was the last man on a hammer and coal chisel near that engine. So anyway, finally another boat. It's getting late afternoon. Boat comes past. And we go, wave it down. "Hey, mate, we're stuck." He goes, "Do you want to tow back to the boat ramp?" We said, "Yeah, mate, we need to. Our engine's not working." We didn't tell him the prop had fallen off. So anyway, hooks a rope up, tows us about 45 minutes back to the boat ramp. We finally retrieve the boat, and then we do the Aussie thing and go, "Hey, mate, we owe you a carton of piss. What do you drink?" Thinking he'd say 4X or VB. So, "Oh, I drink Crown Lager." "Of course you do. It's like 3 times dearer than normal beer." So we went up to the Red Beret Hotel, dug into our wallets, got enough money for a carton of Crown Lager to pay this bloke who towed us back to the boat ramp. Anyway, what a shit day's fishing. So we go into the Red Beret Hotel, and Matt goes, "I'm shouting, boys, I think I owe you this one." He knew we weren't happy with him. So he comes back with a couple of jugs of beer, sat down, and we poured a beer, and we just looked at each other and just burst into laughter about. And Liam goes, "Mate," he says, "Buck, next time you invite me out on a fishing trip, or think of inviting me out on a fishing trip, don't." And we just burst into laughter. We had tears rolling down our face. It was the shittest days fishing. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I remember saying to Matt, mate, you did 20 years in the Navy and your boat is an absolute disgrace. It was I don't know how much he bought it for, but obviously not a lot of maintenance had been done on that. So that was that day's fishing. So if a bloke who's been in the Navy, you think him doing 20 years in the Navy, he'd be all over his boat maintenance and know what he's doing and that. But this boat, hope Matt gets to see this, he'll back me up on that story. But when the engine came out and there was no propeller on there, I just thought, oh no. I said, you've got no propeller. And then Matt started panicking then, big time. And then he's, rather than throw the anchor, he's going, get the oars. And then when the oars snapped, I remember Matt threw the anchor out. Liam go, throw the anchor. Threw the anchor. Me and Liam were looking at each other with just these two little bits of aluminium pipe in our hand with no plastic paddle on the end. And we were in stitches. We just had tears rolling down our face. Well, what else? The only thing that didn't go wrong that day is the boat didn't sink and we didn't get eaten by crocodiles. So anyway, another one. Let's fast forward to 2006, a couple of years later. I'm up in Arakoon as a cop, and I've got a day off. So I know we were working that day. Me and a bloke called Kai Vaughan Johnson, his name was. Kai, we took the police boat out for a spin. Anyway, we've been out. We used to go out fishing, but we put it in the patrol log as illegal fishing boat patrol. So it was an actual police boat. It was about a 5 or 6 metre boat with a 90 on the back. And we used to take it out and just patrol around the 3 rivers there, the mangroves, make sure no Indonesian fishing boats were illegally there. But we used to go fishing for the day. So on the way home, we're heading back towards the boat ramp, and it was a centre console. Kai's driving, and he's standing up. He was a big guy too, Kai. He's like Ben Robert Smith. He's standing up, centre console, holding onto the steering wheel, and I was holding onto the console, looking towards him. So we're going this way, and my back's where we were going, if you know what I mean. He was under it. He was full pelt. And I'm talking to Kai, and next thing I got hit in the head by something hard. And I thought, just for a minute, it stunned me. I thought, Kai's punched me. It was only him and me on the boat. I thought, he's just punched me in the back of the head. How'd he do that? He's in front of me. And then I heard Kai go, holy shit. And I looked down, and there's this massive fish in the bottom of the boat. And then I put my hand at the back of my head, and there's claret all over the back of my neck. So what's happened, and it happened to be a wolf herring, everyone. If anyone knows what a wolf herring is, they've got teeth on them like a bloody tiger shark. This thing has launched out of the water for some, probably after bait fish or whatever, and has launched really high in the air. And I was standing up in the boat, and it's hit me in the back of the neck, in the back of the head, and its teeth have bloody cut me, and claret everywhere. It's landed in the bottom of the boat. Anyway, I went, holy shit. And it was a big wolf herring, about that big. And Kai goes, get him back, use him as bait. He said, he's bloody just cut you open. He said, just keep it and use it as bait. They make good strip bait, big wolf herring. So anyway, I took it back, stuck it in the freezer when I got back to the police barracks. And about a week later, I thought, I'll use that wolf herring as bait. So I jumped on my XT600 Yamaha motorbike, which I had some PVC pipes in the back of it for my rods. So I go down to near the boat ramp at Arakoon there with a fishing rod in one, and I had a little backpack with a 100-pound hand line, and I had this wolf herring, which I was going to use for bait. So I get down there. I get down there and I cut the strips of this wolf herring up, although I'll get you back, you bastard, for hitting me in the back of the head. Cut the strip bait up. Anyway, I'll get me rod and I'll bait it up with a bit of this wolf herring. I cast it out and I rest the rod on the tackle box, not realizing I'd left the drag on really tight. So I rested on the tackle box while I baited up my hand line. So I grabbed the hand line and I'm baiting up the hand line, and next thing, the rod just went, it was like someone had got it and threw it into the water. it must have gone 20 meters in the air and went straight into the water and then went skimming across the water. So a big fish has hit my rod while I'm baiting up the hand line and taken it into the water because it didn't have I had the drag on too tight. And I'm sitting there scratching my head going, my God, I've just lost my rod. So it's gone straight over the tackle box and into the water. About an hour later, I see something splashing around on the water out there. And I thought, I know what that is. That's going to be a dirty big fish. And attached to it is my fishing rod. I'm going to get my rod back. So this Aboriginal guy comes down and he's going to put his boat in at the boat. And I said, hey, mate, I said, when you get your boat in, can I jump in with you? I said, I think there's a fish out there splashing around and attached to it is my fishing rod. And he's like looking at me going, what? So we get out to it, and I think it was a massive Spanish mackerel. And it had run out, after about an hour, it had run out of puff because it's towing my fishing rod around with it. And the Murray guy goes, use my bloody my gaff. And he said, I'll get up beside it. Anyway, I got up and it was a decent sized fish. I went to gaff it and I missed it. And it's gone under and I never saw it again, everyone. And I thought, if I can get this bloody fish in the boat and then and I'll be able to get my rod back and get the fish. But as it turns out, my Roger's fishing story luck, the fish sunk and my rod, I never saw it again. So there you go. There's my second story, everyone. Getting hit in the head by a wolf herring, which was just bizarre in itself. And I've heard other stories of people getting hit in the head by wolf herrings because they launch so high out of the water and they actually smack people in the head when they're in their boats. And we were under it. Like Kai was under it when it hit me. It was like someone punched me full on in the back of the head. So, yeah, the wolf herring had the last laugh, everyone. It split me open when it hit me, and then it actually got my rod, and I never ever saw that fishing rod again. So there you go. That is why I rarely go fishing, everyone, and why I don't go fishing much is because that's the type of luck I have when I do go fishing. Yeah, the Russell Coit of fishing, Graham, exactly right. So, but that day with Matt Regan, everyone, and his boat, that was hilarious. Everything went wrong except we didn't sink. And then when you finally sit down in the pub with a beer, all three of us just burst into laughter and couldn't stop laughing. It was bloody funny. Anyway, that's the stuff that makes fishing trips, and you still remember that type of stuff when you go out. Russ saying wolf herring made great troll baits for Spanish mackerel. Yeah. Well, I used it as strip bait, mate. And it was a big Spaniard that hit me rod. And what I should have had, I should have had a bit of PVC pipe in the ground, put my rod in there, taken the drag off, and who knows, I probably could have landed that Spanish mackerel, but I had the drag on tight, forgot to take it off, rested on the tackle box, and when I got back to the police barracks, so I just lost my rod. And the boy said, how did you lose your rod? I said, Spanish mackerel hit it, and it was like someone had just thrown it into the water. It hit hard, It hit hard, and the rod, it went that quick, I didn't even have a chance to get my hand down and try and stop it. It was gone before I knew what had happened to it. So just shows you how hard Spanish mackerel do hit. Mike saying, I had a friend in high school who joined the Navy to see the world, became an aviation ordnance man, so he would be stationed on aircraft carriers. The Navy stationed him in Fallon, Nevada. Not too many aircraft carriers in Nevada, Mike. Yeah, that'd be my luck too, mate. Join the Navy to see the world and get stationed in Nevada. Dear, oh dear. Chrissy Burns. G'day, Chrissy. Chrissy, did you cook any Anzac biscuits yesterday for Anzac Day? I was thinking of you yesterday. I thought, I wonder if Chrissy cooked any Anzac biscuits. They had the haka at the women's rugby last night, performed by the New Zealand women's team. They looked fierce and flogged us. Oh, did the New Zealand Ferns flog the Wallaroo girls? I didn't watch that. I did see that it was on, but I ended up watching the rugby league on that one. Middle of the desert. Yeah, not too many aircraft carriers out in the desert. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah, exactly right. So anyway, I'm the Russell Coit of fishing, everyone. I'm going to get back into it again. I only said to Roz the other day, went out to Fly and Fish Point. I said, we should start once a week, come down. it's hard when you're not drinking too. Usually when you're on the beach having a fish, you like to have a beer in your hand. So, yeah, we should do that. Bloody go down the beach once a week on a 4 o'clock in the afternoon and just throw the lines in for a couple of hours and just relax. It's just nice looking out to the ocean, isn't it? It's bloody very relaxing. Jimmy Dorja, hope I got your name right, mate. Morning, Buck. Hope you had a pleasant Anzac day. Really love the live session with John. I'm his grandson. Here you go. G'day, mate. I'm his grandson, Jeremy. That man is nothing but a true epitome of Australian. Love him to bits. There you go. G'day, mate. How are you? Distant cousin? Yeah, it was a special one, mate. It was a special one. Anyway, Granddad's. We're going to do part 2 of the Battle of Long Tan and how they defended Newey Dak. Because Johnny rang me up and said, "Oh, there's so much more I wanted to say, Buck, and time got away and whatever." So we're going to do a part 2 on the 18th of August, everyone, which is Vietnam Veterans Day, which is also the anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan, 18th of August, 1966, everyone. That was a big one. Ken said, it's amazing how much shit goes on hold when you're not drinking. I haven't barbecued for 4 months. Yeah, I know, Ken. And you know what? The first time, and someone asked me the other day, who was it? I'll think of his name in a minute. Anyway, he said, Buck, you still off the piss? And I said, yeah, mate. I haven't touched a drop since last year. Yesterday, it hasn't worried me, really, until yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I really felt like having a beer or a whiskey for Anzac Day. That one, yesterday is when it hit hard, and I went, oh, I really feel like having a drink for Anzac Day. And it sucked not having one. I stuck to it. But, mate, I'm not touching a drink until Barra Crab, everyone. I'm Tim Applin. Yeah. Hey, Jeff. That's the other one. Tim Applin, who was killed in Afghanistan, everyone. He's related to Jeffrey Keane, who's part of the community as well. Tim Applin, Private Tim Applin, who was a commando, killed in Afghanistan, is related to Jeff Keane. So there's always someone in the community who's got a close relationship with a veteran or whatever. And it said, if you haven't done so, everyone, I encourage you to get your family tree out, do some digging, and find out who in your family fought for this country. You'll have someone in there for sure. Granddad, great uncle. I've got plenty in my family, and I know a lot of you guys will have the same. Anyone from World War I, World War II, a lot of the men went over and fought, everyone. Not too many men stayed at home during World War I and World War II. So we've all got relatives somewhere that fought in the Australian uniform. Yeah, I know, but they're full of sugar, mate, too. They're full of sugar. The zero beers, they've still got sugar in them, haven't they? That's what I'm trying to... I haven't really lost any weight off the piss, everyone. The only thing I've really noticed is I'm not spending money on alcohol, which is a good thing because of the price of it. But do I feel noticeably better? Is my body aching less because I'm off the grog? No. Have I lost a heap of weight? No. I think I'm replacing beer with friggin' biscuits and having a biscuit when I have a cup of tea and all that. So you have a cup of tea and next thing you know, you're dropping a couple of Tim Tams down your throat. So the weight I'm saving on beer, I'm putting on with Tim Tams. And you know what I mean? Like you find another way to bloody get the sugar into your system. Yeah, without going full on bloody on a full on diet. I just don't want to do that. Justin Dillon said Guinness Zero alcohol is amazingly good. I've tried a few different zero beers, Justin, and they're all shite, mate, which is why I haven't bothered buying any. But I might try a zero Guinness. And if it's nice, just treat myself to a couple of zero Guinnesses on a Friday afternoon, or if I go for a fish, mate, that might be an option, is to have a zero beer. So it feels like, you know, if I'm going out to do a cook up in the backyard, have a zero beer. People can take the piss out of me about it, but at least I'm still not drinking. I'm staunch on that, everyone. I said I'm not drinking until the Barra Crab on the 10th of July. That'll be my first beer at the Barra Crab. So if anyone sees Buck at the Barra Crab and he's had 2 beers and is running around the campfire in his underpants, you know that, you know I didn't handle the beers real well. Slacken said, I don't drink, but don't feel better for it. No idea why that is. No. People say, oh, you've given up drinking. Do you feel heaps better? No, is the answer, everyone. I don't. I still get up in the morning. My body's aching. My shoulders ache all the time. I'm riddled with arthritis. I thought it might make my aching body better. It hasn't. But anyway, I'm going to stick with it, everyone. I just want to neck minute, carton of piss. But anyway, yesterday, I must admit, I felt like sitting down yesterday, having a scotch on the rocks, everyone. A Jameson whiskey over some ice. I thought, geez, that'd go down well at the moment for Anzac Day. But no, staunch, I didn't do it. And Gidgey's staunch too. We're not going to, I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised if Gidgey tries to do the whole year. I don't know. But I'm committing until at least the 10th of July, Ken. And then when I do come back and drink, I'm going to try and not have it at home, everyone. Just have a drink if I go out for a cannery or if I go camping or whatever, and just try not to have alcohol in the house, because that's when it becomes a habit. Next thing you know, you're having Tuesday night, I'll just have one. And then you seem to be having 2 beers every night of the week. And you start bunging the weight on again. Anyway, all right, guys, I've run out of things to say. Hope you enjoyed the live feed this morning. Didn't have a lot to say. Cooper's Zero is good. I haven't tried the Coopers. I've tried the Heineken and Great Northern. They're shite. I just don't like. I'd just rather drink a cup of tea, everyone. I'll try the Guinness, but who said that? Justin. I'll get a can of Zero Guinness, and if it's nice, maybe that's something I can have a couple of cans of Zero Guinness on a Friday Ave and sit out in the backyard with Roz and bloody let Rafa have a bone. We used to sit out the backyard, have a cook up on a Friday Ave, have a few drinks, and Rafa has a chomp on a raw bone while we're sitting out the backyard. That's something we haven't done since I've gone off the piss, because we've had no reason to go and sit in the backyard now. I miss that stuff. I really do. I know drinking can bring some bad things, but if you do drinking the right way, it can bring a bit of happiness to you. It can make you enjoy things more too, if you know what I mean, everyone. But you just got to know how to control it, eh? Not go overboard. See you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great Anzac Day yesterday. I went to the dawn service yesterday morning, woke up at 3 o'clock. It was belting down, torrential rain, and I thought, oh, no. Why for dawn service? 4 o'clock it cleared and could see some stars. And I said to Rafa, we might be lucky here, Rafa. So I left Rafa at home. I got dressed and I went into the dawn service, and a couple of sprinkles throughout the dawn service, nothing. And then wasn't until right to the end. It got a little bit heavy and everyone was throwing their umbrellas up. But great crowd yesterday in Innisfail. Really, really good crowd at the dawn service. Really good. It was good to see. I was very proud of my town for how they turned out for the dawn service. I didn't go in and watch the march, everyone. I don't watch the local march. I just go to the dawn service, and I just stayed at home and went to the gym yesterday and did a little bit. But anyway, I got to the dawn service, and it was good. Doesn't matter what you did, as long as you remember the Anzacs yesterday, that's what it's all about. And let's hope we don't have a repeat of this bloody booing next year. And if as I said, everyone, I'm serious on this. If you don't agree with it, there were some people that had welcomed the countries at their dawn service and there was no booing. And that's a good thing. Okay. But Sydney and Melbourne, you people, if you're at those ones and you experienced any sort of booing at the dawn service, and we know it's not the place for booing, get into your local RSL, write them a letter and say, I disagree with it. They need to do it. And if they keep it in there next year, the same shit will happen again next year. And it puts a real damper on what's supposed to be a really, really special occasion in this country. Victorian RSL and New South Wales RSL, get rid of that shit. Okay, there's a time and a place for it. Anzac Day isn't that time. That's my thought on it. And I think I'm with the majority on that one. I don't think there's a place for welcome the country at friggin' dawn services. That's my opinion on it, and I'll stick with that. All right, see you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Couple of good footy games this half. Manly and the Eels and Panthers and the Knights. So I'm back on KO, everyone. I was sitting there yesterday going, you know what? It's boring without the football. So I joined back up to KO. It lasted about a week. A week without the footy. I got bored and I'm back on KO again. I'll stop it at the end of footy season. See you later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. How do I stop this? End stream. You reckon I know by now, eh? See you, everyone. See you, Mike. See you, John. See you, Slacken. Thanks for tuning in from overseas. And Steve W. and Andy Riches, if you're on, I didn't see your name. See you later.